Good morning. Thanks, Diane, for that beautiful prelude. My name is Mary Blanton, and I'm your service coordinator today. I would like to welcome all of you to the North Chapel on this one of the last few summer Sundays in our calendar. Fall doesn't officially arrive until Thursday, but in Vermont, I think it's maybe already arrived. And I love this cool weather. I hope you do too. Fall's my favorite season. It's wonderful to see all of you. I would like to extend a big welcome to Kitty O'Hara. She will be giving our reflection today as part of our mission to bring social justice speakers to our church. Her bio is in our order of service. Kitty is an artist who works with people transitioning from prison into our communities. The masks you see on the altar are from one of the first projects she does with them. She said the finished products are often mind-blowing, and I agree. I think they're amazing. She has graciously agreed to do a Q&A after the service, so have a quick cup of cider on the front porch and then come back into the sanctuary. Our minister, Reverend Dr. Leon Dunkley, is away on Star Island this weekend. He's taking a much-needed 3 weeks off, and he'll be back in the pulpit on October 9th. If you're visiting today, we would love to have you sign the guest book that's on the table at the back of the church. As always, there are many things happening at the North Chapel. For more information about these events and more wonderful things happening, please read your bulletin or go to the church website, www.northchapelvt.org. Chloe is here for SE in the front row here, so we've got 4 children, which is great. And please turn off anything that buzzes, jingles, or beeps. This month's theme is togetherness. The dictionary defines togetherness as the state of being close to another person or other people. I prefer the synonym connectedness, as in my family of introverts, we would sometimes joke that we had too much togetherness. We were, of course, meaning it in the physical sense. Too many of us together in one place at one time, which often didn't allow space for the real sense of connection that I longed for. We as a congregation come together physically each Sunday, but finding a real sense of connection is more than being physically present in the same space for an hour. The pandemic has limited many of the opportunities for real connection that we had grown accustomed to, such as coffee hour, in-person covenant groups, and Amazing Grace. Can we find other ways to stay connected, despite the challenges COVID has imposed upon us? We are all in this together. On a global level, we are also feeling a sense of disconnection. The pandemic is not yet over. Climate change is wreaking havoc with our weather. There is war in Ukraine, and as a country, we no longer seem to have a common narrative to bring us together. We can no longer separate ourselves from what is going on elsewhere. We live in an interconnected world. It matters not if we are white, black, brown, male, female, rich or poor, or even our political persuasion. Can we broaden our sense of togetherness and connectedness to include all who share our earth with us? As the temperature of the earth warms, we are certainly all in it together. We may not live in flood-stricken Pakistan, but the news brings the suffering into our homes. We sing Finlandia to stand together in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Together we pray for peace in the world. Each year since 1981, the International Day of Peace has been observed around the world on September 21st. The UN General Assembly has declared this as a day devoted to the strengthening of ideals of peace within all peoples and nations in our world through observing 24 hours of nonviolence and ceasefire. This day is an inspiring reminder that if we all come together, we can make a difference in our world. This too was the focus of the ACOM World Peace Festival that Anne mentioned last week. I, along with 10 million others, signed up to be a peacemaker, realizing the importance of each of us finding our own inner peace and then projecting it out into the world. In 1971, John Lennon wrote his famous song, Imagine, imagining a world where there is peace and acceptance for everyone, where we would all come together as one. I would like to read his words. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will live as one. We will now have a time of silent meditation and prayer. I would like to welcome Kitty O'Hara. I'm always trying to learn an interesting facts about the speaker rather than what's just in their proper bio. So here are several about Kitty. Despite being warned against attempting to hike the Grand Canyon in one day, she did it successfully. Anyway, this sounds like something I would do too. And when people ask her to describe what she does, with a sense of humor, she tells them that she is a painter by day and a hooker by night. After seeing the shocked look on people's faces, she explains that she finds it relaxing to work on her hooked rugs at night. Welcome, Kitty.
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of the Hartford Community Restorative Justice Center, which is kind of a mouthful. And it covers a lot of really wonderful programs. I got involved probably around 10 years ago. I was contacted by the center, and they asked me if I would be willing to teach a painting class. They wanted to pay me for someone that was just getting out of prison. And I thought, well, maybe I could give it a try. And then I soon found out that the person was a sex offender. And I kind of got a sick feeling in my stomach, and I thought, wow, is this really something that I want to do? So I thought about it long and hard, and then I thought, who am I? God forgives people. Who am I to judge someone and not try to give them a chance? So I thought, well, I'll try it. So I said that I would do the painting class, but I didn't want to be paid. That way, if I was really uncomfortable with it, I could back out. So I started meeting with this man once a week for about an hour and a half, and he had his canvas next to mine. And the more we talked, the more, we kind of connected. And he finished his first painting, and it was a barn. It was nothing terribly exciting, but he was so thrilled. We put it in an inexpensive little frame, and he gave it to his mother, and it just made the world to him. And it just sort of changed my whole viewpoint on, what can happen just from really basically just talking to someone. I don't know that the painting was really, that therapeutic, but it was the connection that I made. And so then I started doing other art classes, and it was with more than one person, and it was really hard to get people to engage. So I started thinking, because it really isn't about the art, it's about sitting and talking to these people and listening to their stories. And so much of it, I almost felt guilty that I was getting more out of it than they were. So the Justice Center sort of has this thing where they kind of strong-arm people into taking up some of the services that they have. They have a writing class and they have the art class. So people sometimes are like, well, I was told I have to do this, and initially they were, really didn't particularly want to do it. So I thought, how can I engage people without making them feel like they have to create this masterpiece? So I came up with the idea of masks. So I bought these inexpensive masks at the Michaels, and I gave each person a mask, and I said, you can do whatever you want with it. I just want it to reflect something about yourself. And some people were like, well, I really don't want to do it. And it's like, well, fine, you can sit and watch what the other people do. And inevitably, by the third week, everybody would get engaged in it. And so these are just some of the masks that we have. There's a few that I couldn't bring. There's one that this woman did that the inside of the mask reflect the inside of her as opposed to the outside. You can see one of them is like painted in half, and that's what she's trying to show her old self and her new self. And the conversations that come out of it are just incredible. It's just fascinating. So that's one of the things that I do. And I'm one of many, many volunteers from the community. And we work there's different programs. One of the programs we have is the rep panels, and they meet in the evenings, and those are for people with less offenses, and it's a way to keep them out of jail. And we work on ways that they can pay back for the harm that they've done. We discuss who they've harmed and what ways we can help to make amends. And we've worked with school children on this as well as adults, so it's not just limited to adult offenders. Then the other program we have is called COSA, and it stands for Circles of Support and Accountability. And those are assigned to us by the Department of Justice. Those are people that are at risk of offending, higher risk of offending than some of the other people just getting out of prison. And it's a team usually of about 4 or 5 people, and we're assigned to meet with this person every single week, at least once. Sometimes it gets up being a lot more than that, and it's just to try to help them stay on track and to adjust to just getting out of the prison system. A lot of times it ends up getting to be a lot longer than a year, just because they have certain different needs that come up, and we try to help them in any way we can. We're not always successful, but the thing is, we've planted the seed. We've let them know that there's people out there that care about them, and that we do believe that people can change. Then the third program we have, it's a pilot program, and it stems from New York University, and it's called Circles of Peace. And our Justice Center is the only one in the state that has permission to do this program, and that's working with domestic violence. And it's a year program, and it's kind of interesting because when we start out, it's kind of like what we do here in church, where you sort of take a moment to try to decompress before we get into exactly what the program's going to be each time that we meet. And initially it's like, oh, it's, a bunch of phooey, sitting there with your eyes closed. And then as the weeks go by, you see how they start to understand what we're trying to do. We discuss the different ways that you can be abusive. It's not always physical. It can involve, threatening to take your children away, taking control over finances. There's all different ways that it's not just one thing. So these are just some of what we do. The mission is really to reduce crime and restore the community. And I just think it's a great thing. And the other thing I've tried to do is I try to combine it with other things. Excuse me. I work with Glad Rags. And I'm about one of the ingenues in the group. Everybody is usually, most of them are in their 80s, sometimes even older than that. And we're starting to run into problems with lifting the heavy racks and the boxes. So I called on the Justice Center, and we get the guys to come over and help us set everything up and break it down. And the ladies just love engaging with them. And it just makes them feel like they have a purpose and they're important. One of the other things we do at the Justice Center, it's not just a handout. We have apartments that we help subsidize the rent on them, and as you all know, prices are through the roof right now. But it's not just given to them. They're given 6 months to live there, and over that 6 months time frame, they're supposed to kind of get their act together. So we help them with the housing, we help them with clothing. If they need a ride to a doctor's appointment, if they need to work on their GED, if they need to get their driver's license, simple things like opening a bank account. If you've been in jail for a long time, you don't even know how to work a cell phone, and one of the priorities, or they have to have it in order to be in touch with the corrections office, is they have to have a cell phone. So we're there to help them on a whole different range of things. And again, my thing is, they're gonna get out of jail. If we don't try to help them, what do you think's gonna happen? It's just gets to be a cycle. A lot of these cases, you'll find that, especially with domestic abuse and it's what they grew up with. They don't know any better. What we think is a normal upbringing is what they're thinking when, they see their mother being beat up, or, the same thing with child abuse. A lot of it is learned behavior. So I just think it's important for all of us to reach out to people and understand that you can change, but sometimes it just takes a circle of the community to wrap yourselves around them and give them a helping hand. Thank you.